A little girl steps outside her front door on a quiet November afternoon in Texas. A FedEx van is pulling away from the driveway. She never comes back inside. And the man driving that van, he had just delivered her Christmas present. Before we go any further, drop a comment right now. Do you think Tanner Horner deserves the death penalty or life in prison? I'm reading every single response at the end of this video. And if you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button because we cover cases exactly like this every week. And trust me, you do not want to miss what happens in that courtroom. Stay with me. It gets darker before it gets to justice. Her name was Athena Strand, 7 years old, a first grader from Boyd, Texas, a small, quiet town in Wise County, about 45 minutes northwest of Fort Worth. The kind of place where neighbors know each other's names, where kids still play outside, and where nobody really locks their doors before dark. Athena was, by every account, a bright and spirited little girl. Her mother, Maitland Gandy, described her as someone full of life, the kind of child who lit up a room just by walking into it. She had that rare kind of energy that makes adults stop what they're doing just to watch a kid being a kid. At the time of her disappearance, Athena was staying with her father and stepmother, Ashley Strand, at their home in the Boyd area of Wise County. When the house was undergoing some construction, at the time renovations, that meant the living arrangements were a little unconventional. Athena and her stepsister were sleeping in a converted storage shed next to the main house. It wasn't ideal, but it was temporary. Just a season of life while the family fixed things up. November 30th, 2022, started like any other Wednesday. Christmas was less than 4 weeks away. Packages were arriving at homes across the country every single day as families ordered gifts for their kids. There was nothing unusual about a FedEx van pulling up to a driveway in a quiet Texas neighborhood. Nothing suspicious, nothing alarming, just a delivery. Except this delivery would be the last moment everything was normal. Here is what we know about those final hours. At some point during the afternoon, Athena got into an argument with her stepmother, Ashley. We don't know exactly what it was about. The details of that disagreement were never made fully public, but it was the kind of friction that happens in households with children. Normal, humans, forgettable, under any other circumstances. After the argument, Athena went outside. Ashley later told authorities she didn't realize the child had gone outside. She assumed Athena had gone to the converted storage shed and her makeshift bedroom to cool down. This wasn't unusual. Kids do that. They need space. They sulk. They come back when they're ready. But Athena didn't come back. At some point that same afternoon, a FedEx delivery driver pulled up to the Strand property. His name was Tanner Horner. He was 31 years old and worked as a contract delivery driver for a company called Big Topspin, which contracted with FedEx to handle package deliveries in the area. He had packages to deliver. Christmas packages. One of them was addressed to Athena. Her mother, Maitland Gandy, had ordered a set of Barbie dolls from Mattel's You Can Be Anything collection, a gift full of hope and intention, the kind of present a mother picks out with a child's whole future in mind. Barbie, the astronaut. Barbie, the doctor. Barbie, the president. You can be anything. Horner pulled into the driveway, dropped the package, and began to leave. And that is where, depending on whose version of events you believe, the story takes its first horrifying turn. According to the arrest affidavit, When investigators questioned Tanner Horner, he told them a story. He said that as he was backing his van out of the driveway, he accidentally struck Athena with his vehicle. He said he panicked. He said he got out of the van, found that she wasn't seriously injured. She was conscious, she was speaking, or she even told him her name. And then, instead of calling 911, instead of knocking on the front door, instead of doing literally anything a rational human being would do in that situation, he put her in the back of his FedEx van. His stated reason? He was afraid she would tell her father that he had hit her with the truck. Let that sink in for a moment. A grown man faced with the chance to make a bad accident, right to be accountable, to get help for a child, chose instead to take her. Indeed, what happened next inside that van involves details so disturbing that investigators, prosecutors, and the family have all described them as among the most harrowing they have ever encountered. The affidavit documents a series of violent acts too graphic to recount here, acts that ended Athena Strand's life. What we can tell you is this. Authorities believed she was killed within approximately 1 hour of being taken. 1 hour. Athena Strand, who had just been in her driveway on a Wednesday afternoon in November, was gone in less time than it takes to watch a movie. And the account Horner gave investigators, his explanation, his justification, his version of events would later be described by prosecutors in that courtroom as nothing more than a web of lies. We'll get to that. That evening, Ashley Strand went to look for Athena. She checked the shed. She checked the yard. She called for her. Silence. She reported Athena missing on November 30th, 2022. What followed was the kind of frantic, desperate search that every parent prays they never have to experience. Law enforcement from multiple agencies mobilized. The community rallied. People shared posts, circulated photos of a smiling 7-year-old girl with her whole life ahead of her. Investigators began retracing Athena's last known movements. They reviewed surveillance footage. They checked delivery records. They began piecing together who had been in the neighborhood that day and when. It didn't take long for Tanner Horner's name to surface. He was brought in for questioning. And according to Wise County Sheriff Lane Aiken, Horner confessed. But he not only admitted to killing Athena Strand, he allegedly helped lead authorities to where he had left her body. She was found in early December 2022 in an area near a river, roughly 9 miles from her home. She was 7 years old. Tanner Horner was arrested in early December 2022, just days after Athena had been reported missing. He was charged with capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. But the charges didn't stop there. As the investigation deepened and forensic evidence was processed, additional charges emerged that pointed to a far more premeditated and sinister series of events than Horner's initial account had suggested. The full scope of what prosecutors alleged had been done to Athena Strand is something that, out of respect for her and her family, we won't detail here. What we will say is that the evidence gathered by investigators told a story that was, in the words of those closest to the case, almost incomprehensible in its cruelty. The community of Boyd, Texas, already devastated, was shaken all over again. In February 2023, Horner was formally indicted on the charges of capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. At that time, he pleaded not guilty. Back in Boyd, Texas, a family was left to grieve and to reckon with questions that had no good answers. How did this happen? Why did it happen? And could it have been prevented? In December 2022, the same month Horner was charged, Athena's father filed a civil lawsuit against Tanner Horner, FedEx, and Big Topspin, the contractor that employed Horner. The lawsuit alleged that FedEx and Big Topspin were negligent in hiring and supervising Horner, and that they failed to properly investigate his background before putting him behind the wheel of a delivery van and sending him into residential neighborhoods. A few months later, Athena's mother, Maitland Gandy, joined the lawsuit. This lawsuit is about Athena Strand, a vibrant young girl who deserves to have her memory live on for the good she brought to the world, the filing stated. It is about a life that was taken senselessly by a child who could have been any of ours. It is about a loss that could have and should have been prevented. FedEx issued a statement saying their thoughts remained with Athena's family, acknowledging they were aware of the complaint. The status of those lawsuits remains unclear, but the question at the heart of them remains worth asking. When a company puts someone in a vehicle and sends them door to door into residential neighborhoods, into driveways where children play, what responsibility do they carry? Now, here's where the story takes a turn that nobody fully expected. For over 2 years, Tanner Horner maintained his not guilty plea. His defense team prepared to take the case to trial, and the trial did begin in April 2026 in Wise County, Texas. But on April 7th, 2026, before the jury could deliberate, Tanner Horner changed his plea. He pleaded guilty to capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. The trial, which had already moved into opening statements, now shifted entirely to the sentencing phase. The only question left for the jury: would Tanner Horner be executed, or would he spend the rest of his natural life in prison? During opening statements, Wise County District Attorney James Stainton made clear exactly what he thought of Horner's account of events. Large, the only truthful thing that Tanner Horner told law enforcement was that he killed her, Stainton told the jury. He described the accused as someone who had constructed a pattern of lies, one on top of another, woven together into a story designed to minimize, to deflect, to avoid the full weight of what he had done. And then came the detail that dismantled the core of Horner's original story. Remember what Horner claimed? That he accidentally hit Athena with his van, that she wasn't seriously hurt, and that he panicked? During the trial, the jury was shown an image pulled from footage inside Horner's FedEx vehicle that showed Athena Strand alive and active inside the back of the truck, on her knees, awake, aware. She wasn't an accident. She wasn't someone he was trying to help. She had been taken, deliberately, consciously. And then the prosecutor alleged that the very first thing Horner said to her after putting her in that truck was, "Don't scream or I'll hurt you." The defense, for their part, argued that Horner has autism and had suffered from mental illness throughout his life, allegedly stemming from his mother drinking during pregnancy and exposure to lead. His attorney asked the jury to consider life in prison rather than the death penalty. Before we get to what happens next, I want to stop for a moment, because in the middle of all of this, the charges, the lawsuits, the courtroom arguments, the legal strategy, there is a mother. Maitland Gandy stood at a press conference after her daughter's death and said something that has stayed with people ever since. She talked about the Barbie dolls, the You Can Be Anything collection. The gift she had ordered with love and hope was a present that arrived at the house in the same van that took her daughter away. Athena was robbed of the opportunity to be anything she wanted to be, Gandhi said. And this present, ordered out of innocence and love, is one she will never receive. She spoke about the man responsible. I was robbed of watching her grow up by a man that everyone was supposed to be able to trust to do just one simple task: deliver a Christmas present and leave. Deliver a Christmas present and leave. That's all it was supposed to be. As of April 2026, the jury in Wise County, Texas, is deciding Tanner Horner's fate. He has pleaded guilty. He will not go free. The only remaining question is whether he will face the death penalty or life in prison. Athena Strand was 7 years old. She liked Barbie dolls. She slept in a converted shed while her family's home was being fixed up. She stepped outside one afternoon and never came back in. She deserved to grow up. She deserved to find out what she wanted to be, and she never got that chance. Athena Strand's story isn't just a headline, it's a reminder that justice is a journey we have to walk together. We tell these stories so that names like Athena's are never forgotten, and so we can stay informed in a world that isn't always as safe as it looks. If you believe that every child deserves a future, and every story deserves the truth, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. By joining this community, you're making sure these voices are heard and that the search for justice never stops. Don't let the next story go untold. Stay with us. Rest in peace, Athena. We'll see you in the next one.